Eric Sermon with his song Eric Sermon, and we've had quite our difficulties on the technical level, but finally we are talking to the brothers Bouldin. Brett and Sean, good evening.
Good evening, how you doing?
Oh yeah, finally, major breakthrough in our technical difficulties. Good to speak to you guys. You're, 2/3 of 7A3, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The only one we're missing at the moment is DJ Muggs, but, I think you can give a very good sketch of what hip-hop was like in, 1985, 1987, when you guys were starting to rock it in California, Los Angeles.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, if you're talking 1985, when we actually started, you're talking to 7A3 and before. It was 7A3 before we had Muggs, and we then recruited Muggs after we had Son Doobie as our DJ, and Muggs was a better DJ, and we recruited Muggs, and he became part of the group in 86, 87, after we had did our first two singles.
And those first two singles, for people who don't know, what were those singles?
We did Mad Mad World, and we did We Will Rock You, 7A3 Will Rock You.
Okay, so this was all before the time Coolin' in Cali.
Way before, yes. Well, not way before, but yes, before.
Mad Mad World, of course, was one of the songs also featured in the movie Colors.
Yes, sir.
How did you guys end up to have, a record that you were supposed to make for a motion picture? Most of the time...
Well, actually, the time they were doing it, a person we was involved with, Jeff Finster, was working on the project and had heard the song and said, would you mind if I submitted it for this movie coming out, that Dennis Hopper directed? And at first I was like, Dennis Hopper, didn't he do Easy Rider? And he was like, yeah, exactly. So he submitted it and they liked it, and that's how we got it on there.
Wow, because as I was starting to say, most musicians go the other way around. They make music, and then, eventually they get to make music for a movie. But you started out there.
Yeah, we were kind of fortunate in that way.
Yeah,
we did a lot of things different.
Different, yeah. Go ahead, bro.
We did a lot of things differently at that time than what was being done at the time.
And that was a good thing because, the entire album from 1988, Coolin' in Cali, is a good album. So if you were doing things differently, in what way did you differ from the normal rap scene at that moment in California?
Well, at that point, we were doing, we were kind of just doing what we liked. It was, we had not only being in California, but we were also from Brooklyn, so we had, different views on both California and New York, being that we had been in both places. And we had a lot of instrumentation.
Yeah, that's one of the first things we could definitely say. We were probably one of the first groups to put a lot of live instrumentation in our music, first and foremost.
And that is what the other people on the West Coast did not have at that moment.
No, not at that moment. Not at that moment.
It wasn't East Coast, West Coast. People in hip-hop didn't have it much at that point.
So pioneer for both coasts, when it comes to this.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and we were fortunate enough that we have a lot of hip-hop history because not only were, we from New York living in California, but we also recorded the album in Philadelphia, which, is responsible for Fresh Prince and Schoolie D and others like that. And when we recorded the album, one of the people we were blessed to work with, we worked with Schoolie D a lot, and Joe the Butcher Niccolo and Chris Schwartz, the owners who would later become the owners of Rough House.
Wow, that's quite some names being put out there. And also, all over the place. You got, Brooklyn, New York, just a little east from there, going to Philadelphia, and then, of course, California itself. So that is, across the entire span of America.
Yeah, basically. It was a real good learning experience musically because at that time, you know, we did on the Cool and Cali album, one song was basically all musicians. And at that time, Joe the Butcher was like, you know, you guys want to try this? And we were like, sure.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
We were one of the first groups at that point to do an actual recording with a full band.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I got to say this on behalf of the founder, who is Brett, and my brother. He actually went to Philadelphia with 16 bars to go do the Cool and Cali album. So it all was done on the spot, spontaneous, writing, performing it, delivering it in the studio, etc.
Well, knowing this,
the whole Cool and Cali took about a month to do.
Wow. That is amazing. It certainly is going to enhance my experience of listening to it, because I do play it regularly, Cooling in Cali. What happened after recording Cooling in Cali, which was done in an amazing time of just 1 month?
Actually, what happened was Geffen, David Geffen, decided that he was selling his company. And at that point, you know, it was time to find a home, and we were working on a second album. And by the time we finished the second album, it was just really, we were in a place where, you know, they wanted us to sound a certain way, and we kind of really wanted to do our own thing. So, you know, we just came to a agreement that it might be better if MCA and 783 parted ways. And then we moved on to, you know, producing and writing and stuff like that. And my brother, he took a big part in learning the business.
Yeah, that is a shame to hear that. That was about the time where acts were being forced to do something that they, you know, probably were not to start out with, and were not willing to change in that direction. We've been talking to Mellow Man Ace 2 weeks ago, and he said the same thing. He was forced in a certain direction, and he didn't want to go there.
Absolutely, and we had already been there with Coolin and Cali. We took some directors and a lot of creative directors, not always that we were opposed to, but it wasn't entirely our directors. We were satisfying the label. So when it came to the second album, they gave us a lot more. They gave us a lot more leverage and ability to create, a lot of creative control, but they didn't give us the entire creative control. And, you know, we had a meeting. It really was Geffen merged with MCA. That's when David Geffen became a billionaire. He sold all his shares over to MCA. MCA then became where all the urban acts went to, which included us and quite a few other urban acts, Christopher Williams and, you know, some other of our label mates. And MCA at the time didn't really know what to do with hip-hop. They didn't have any significant hip-hop success. They were more R&B. They had New Edition and some other R&B successes. But when it came to hip-hop, they really didn't know what to do. So when it came to us giving them some of our ideas of what we felt the direction we wanted to go in, they were okay with it because we did accommodate some of their needs because they wanted some of the, you know, New Jack Swing sound or the Spider-Man and Freeze sound at the time, and we had that. So we put that out as an A-side, but then we had a B-side of stuff that we liked, which was more life-driven stuff, and they said okay until they actually heard the material, and I think that's when they decided, nah, we're not going to put it out. Wow.
That's harsh.
You know, it was a harsh but blessed learning experience. It made us the individuals, Brett and I, the individuals we are today.
True.
You know, and we didn't get swallowed up into the industry, and we didn't become of that. And we actually now have the opportunity to speak to you from a mindset and perspective that probably a lot of folks can't speak to you from.
Yeah, that is a very blessed situation to be in. Wow.
Absolutely. It wasn't that we didn't realize it at the time, but now, you know, we come to terms with it.
Yeah, I'm glad things turned out the way they turned out.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, leaving all of that negative things behind us, after Coolin and Cali, you started producing, and you had some, you know, great people to work with.
Oh, definitely.
Who were all amongst them?
I've done stuff. I actually wrote Hand on the Pump for Cypress Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of funk dubious, a lot of the concepts and hooks on that album. I've worked with just about everybody. I've worked with Shanice Wilson. I've worked with Portrait. I've worked with Spider-Man and Freeze. One of the fortunate things that happened with me was the 7A experience allowed me to work with, Hank Shockley, Prince Paul, Daddy-O, Muggs, just about everybody.
Yeah, because so the list is much longer. Yeah,
I learned a lot of production tips and stuff like that. And then I stepped into, I had stepped into the Spanish arena for a little while, and I did a Latin artist, one of the Latin artists, and now I'm actually doing a 7A3 album and a funk Sun Doobie album. So
there is a new 7A3 album coming out?
Yeah, we're working on some stuff. I just finished doing Sun Doobie's album.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're in the process of putting together some tracks for some 7A3 album.
And that is going to be schooled on your vision, of course, because you have no one who's, directing which path
definitely.
You run down to.
Yes, absolutely.
And speaking on that end, my standpoint is I went behind the scenes and I started working as an executive in the music industry, and I've worked with the likes of Tupac, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube. I brought Black Eyed Peas over to Interscope, discovered and found them and brought them to Interscope. I worked with Trick, Charlie Baltimore, Blackstreet, No Doubt. The list goes on. I basically was running the rap department at Interscope as well as A&M and for several labels and management of different artists and consultation for different independent labels. So that was what I was doing.
You've also worked for EMI, right?
I worked at EMI, yes, I did. I ran the radio department over at EMI. I ran the rap department over at A&M. I ran the rap department at some point over at Interscope. I also consulted for Interscope during the G-Unit's shady days, and during the Death Row Aftermath days is when I was working directly there.
And, you are, doubly blessed, staying true to yourself, not going down the path that you were forced to, and having seen the scenes from both an artist perspective as a behind-the-scene perspective. What is the major difference in the rap game when you started out and how the scene is nowadays?
The major difference is it's become a significant business. It's a full-fledged business. When we started out, it was a culture and a creative driven movement, but it wasn't yet it wasn't yet identified as a full-fledged business that it became. It wasn't $1 billion business when we started. There were intentions on making a business. We was able to get a $100,000 album recorded and be able to make $1 million off it. So people were very interested in hip hop because of that. But no one had ever thought that it could go from making $1 million to making billions. And I think it has transitioned into that, and the impact that hip hop has made throughout the world has become so phenomenal that it's much different from then when we didn't envision that, and now because it's become corporate, you have a lot more people who are involved on trying to dictate the direction, and it doesn't always turn out to be the way it should be or could be creatively.
Yeah, and not only creatively, here in Holland, there's a movement that just started, I believe, like 2 to 3 weeks ago, saying that when it started out, rap was mostly a protest song or politically driven, and they want to get back to those days because that's what hip-hop started about, creating consciousness.
Well, I would say this. It wasn't entirely. That's what was beautiful about what they call the golden era, is because it had that element. It also had fun elements. It also had just party elements. It had gangster elements. So it had a combination of different styles and different entities, which made it very unique. It was trend-setting as opposed to bandwagoning, which is now has become popular. You couldn't fight back then. Now it's become almost a portion. Oh, we want you to sound like this, and it's acceptable. But you couldn't bite back then. So it was a lot of different movements that were going on, but they were all movements that initiated creativity and initiated, different styles and different protests and, like you said, different movements that were created.
Yep. So
the rest is on you.
What I want to know more about is the new album coming out, 7A3. What can you tell me about it?
It's the tentative title is "Life is Love." It'll be, it won't be. It'll be fun. It'll be saying something. It'll be 7A3. It'll be let's have fun, but also it'll be talking about things that we're aware of, things that we should believe should be talked about, and it'll be. I think this album, the best way I could relate it is that it'll be human.
Wow,
there'll be a lot of human qualities to it.
I am really looking forward to that. Could you please keep us posted on the progress of that album?
Oh, definitely.
So as soon as it hits the shelf, we want to, have everyone listening in to enjoy that.
Okay, we will definitely do that.
Good.
Yeah, you heard it first here.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Very nice. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to have this conversation with us and to give us a more in-depth... To give us an in-depth look of what rap was like on the West Coast as well as on the East Coast and in between in Philadelphia in the days where you made Coolin' in Cali and what's going on in the business right now.
Well, thank you for having us.
And before we leave, can I just shout this out? Look forward to the Son Doobie's new album. It's called Welcome to Doobie Land, the Diamond Collection, produced by the one and only Brett B. And it will be coming within the next month or so. And it's coming through Mum Entertainment, 7A3 Music, and we will be putting it out there, distributing it, and hopefully coming out to do a tour near you out there in Holland.
Nice.
Actually, we're working on that now.
That is very good.
With Son Doobie.
Keep your eye out for that. Son Doobie, in about a month, the new album produced by 7A3.
No. Produced by Brett B.
Yeah.
Of 7A3.
Of 7A3.
To do with
it. Well, at least.
Brother.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking to us, and keep us posted on the new album.
Definitely, Joe. We appreciate you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.